Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we try and have a weekly gathering, a weekly presentation. So that as a community, we can express our desire to hear about spiritual subject matters. Maybe most of us feel comfortable with this idea that at least once a week we can gather around and we can have such discussions, more of such presentations. So is it all right to be comfortable like that? Or are there other options available? As social beings with intelligence and understanding of relationships, it has been found that when one comes to such gatherings of one's own volition, one's own free will, the physical body releases what are known as happy hormones, happy chemicals. What happens when such chemicals are released? Typically, you feel more relaxed. Typically, you feel rejuvenated. And if the week has been very tight, with a lot of turbulence, then you get some space. That can be very addictive. And to top it, if you have potlucks, so that makes it very lucrative. Nice food. Because if we did not have such occasions, then there are not many alternatives available in life. This is true. Somehow we have figured out that our days and our time should be divided into weeks. So every Friday is where you kind of let go, and every Monday you have to gear up again. This has been established. And everyone has accepted it. So within this routine, this has found to be helpful. There have been many studies done on this. So the people in humanities, this is their interest. Studies have been conducted. Now, if you are interested in spiritual subject matters, then we are given another reason that in such gatherings, we can become spiritually inspired. Now, what does that actually mean? Spiritual inspiration. Should that be another reason to just get addicted to a particular lifestyle? Or should we use our intellect to figure out what is my individual inspiration in spiritual life? As I said, we're not just social beings, but we are social beings with intelligence. Therefore, the intelligence has a huge appetite. It always wants to grow. The physical body grows up to your 20s, a little beyond puberty, few years beyond puberty. After that, it plateaus out, no more growth. And in our experience, individual experiences, if one is perceptive, then we can realize that the intelligence is always eager to grow more and more and more. Therefore, we always need inspirations in life. Is it for a physical growth? Not so much, unless until you want to put on weight or you want to lose weight. So rather than vertical growth, now it is horizontal growth after your 20s. Either you decrease or you increase. No, wrong action. Either you increase or you decrease. But intelligence always wants to increase, always. And if we find that spiritual life is important for us, then we'd want our intelligence to grow in that direction. However, if we simply become addicted to the routine of a weekly gathering, then other than that place, where else can we get inspiration for a spiritual intellect to grow? So if you can use that logical part of your brain to figure out why such programs, why since practically a time of creation this has been instituted. There's a lot of thought that has gone beyond. Thought has gone into it, into this entire system that has been created. So what is that spiritual inspiration? It does begin with faith. Where do you place your faith according to the vision that you have based on the spiritual knowledge that you accumulate? Where do you put your faith? Let me give you a simple example. Gaudiya Vaishnavas worship the Supreme Absolute Truth as Radha and Krishna. Now, after some time, some of you may hear, because such tidbits of knowledge are always floating around various congregations. What is the tidbits of knowledge? Oh, worship of Radharani is a little more important than worship of Krishna. So now you start putting your faith there. And therefore, whatever you hear, whatever you read, wherever you can get additional data, you hungrily accept it, because that is where your faith is. Someone's faith is like, Balaramji is a source of spiritual strength. So now there is another aspect to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He is the original spiritual master. So if you put your faith there, then accordingly, you'll seek your inspiration. Now, some people, they're never sure and they do not want to miss out on. They do not want to leave anything to chance according to their understanding. Therefore, they say, no, we are both teams. So we put our faith both in Srimati Radharani, Balaram, then there is Narsingadev, then Krishna's another form will come as Jagannath, and Balaram's another form would be Jagannath's brother Balaram. And finally, our faith is now distributed in so many entities. How are you going to find inspiration? Because the inspiration would now be many branched. Therefore, we are informed that before we place our inspiration in such concepts, try to have a certain level of realization. Something that you've experienced yourself, pratyaksha. We've heard, we've been informed, we put our faith. But then slowly there are so many things that kind of come in. So then what do? We have to use our intelligence. As I said, intelligence is always very hungry. It's very eager to grow. Now, intelligence could either be very focused or could be spread out. Both have their benefits. Depends on what is the goal that you're aspiring for. If your intelligence is a little spread out, then most probably the goal that you're looking at is that I don't want to miss out on anything. Therefore, let me put my intelligence into each of these systems. And if someone is convinced, no, this is where I'm completely focused, so that person would be one-pointed, no vision. The intelligence would be very, very focused, wanting to grow in that direction. Now, if someone is focused in a particular direction, obviously that person is going to make a rapid advancement in that direction. And someone is a little distributed, then they'll make some advancement in each of those elements where they have distributed their intelligence. So, coming back to spiritual inspiration. What is our inspiration? Because in material life, you figure it out very, very easily. You're very sure how to make money. You're very sure what are the goals that my family has to achieve. We're very sure of how I should be taking care of my health. It basically means our intelligence is not just growing, but it is becoming hungrier by the day. We are giving it food, it grows, it wants more. So if we want spiritual inspiration, then we have to make choices. Hard choices in life. Because the intelligence that we feed would be giving us the inspiration to move ahead on that journey. An example from the Srimad Bhagavatam is when Narad Muni approached the little kid, Dhruva. Narad Muni told him, you're just a kid. Maybe we should just go and get some ice cream, some chocolates, or go and play on your tab. This little boy his intelligence was focused on, I have to find Narayan. Even adults don't find that kind of inspiration. Hence, his example has been shared through all generations. As adults, we don't. We are like, if someone says, don't worry, just continue doing this towards the end of life, well, one will find Narayan. We are like, okay, if you say so, then I accept. Narad Muni told him, relax, go and play. Once you're a little older, then you come back to me. And we'll figure it out. The boy says, thank you. I respect your advice. Right now, I have to find Narayan. So since you're not able to help me, then please excuse me. I will go ahead with my search. This boy's intelligence was really hungry in finding what could help him reach his destination. He was asking Narad Muni, do you know? See, he's using his intelligence. Can you tell me, do you know how to figure this out? Hence, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita advises us that if you want to be successful in life, Arjuna, if you want to be successful in life, first of all, decide what is that you want to achieve. And Ekeha Kurunandana. If you are not focused like that, then intelligence would start getting distributed to so many objects of attraction. Because you have so many objects of attraction, therefore the intelligence will get distributed. And there will be confusion. So ultimately, Prabhuji, Mataji, Guruji, should I just worship Radharani or Balaram or Narasimhadev or Krishna? Jagannath, now Rath Yatra is coming, so should we just sing Jagannath Ashtakam? Should we stop doing that? Damodar month has come, should we start? Oh, Damodar month, we have to start Damodar Ashtakam. Many years ago, we had, as ashram inmates, a lot of us, we were about 100 of us. We had gone to the holy city of Ayodhya. And we were staying in an ashram there. We had rooms there. So the rooms available for visitors to stay. And the ashram had a temple in the middle, Sitaram temple. And they had two elderly people there, one with a harmonium, the other person with just kartals. Simple looking people, very simple. And they were singing Kirtan. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. So in the morning when we would wake up, we would go past the temple, outside the gates to see the holy places, we would hear Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. In the afternoon when we would come back for our prasad lunch, Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. We were there, I think, so for 3 days. So one afternoon, one day, late morning, we had some free time. So because we had free time, with a dozen of us, maybe about 20 of us, we went to the temple. The other days were packed, so we would always leave the premises and go outside to see. So we went to the temple. They saw all of us. We were all in saffron, They looked at us. Immediately they offered the harmonium to us and the kartals and said, please, you sing. So we started singing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For almost a couple of hours, we sang the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I think we must have hit about 15, 20 tunes. Different, 10 minutes somebody did kirtan, then they handed over to someone else. And these people are just, their eyes closed. They were singing along with us. And after 2 hours, like 1.5, 2 hours, all of us got up and we thanked them and we left. They took the harmonium. Sitaram, 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 Sitaram. And I've been to Ayodhya a couple of times more. They were elderly. Within the past, this happened, I guess, about 25 years ago. So in the past 25 years ago, I've visited Ayodhya a couple of times. That ashram is still there. And I make it a point to visit because you feel comfortable there. You know the place. And whenever we pass by the temple, it is Sitaram, 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 Sita. Not even Jai Sitaram. And I was wondering, what does it take for someone to go on like that without their mind flickering? What does it take for the mind to not flicker, to not wander? Focused intelligence. Focused intelligence. And on these occasions, then I remember Srila Prabhupada saying that simply chant Hare Krishna. Many times when Prabhupada had to give the sunset chant Hare Krishna, he go Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The same tone. It was as if his mind, his tongue, and intelligence were fixated on this. And I was like, when I have to chant Hare Krishna, it's like Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna. How does one get to the point where it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, every day of your life? It's like if a drop of water constantly falls on the toughest of surfaces every day for dozens of years, even that surface will give away. That is what meditation is all about. Yeah. To go on day in and day out with consistency, knowing very well that this material conception of life has to give way. It has to crack. Is it so easy? When we make a presentation, it's easy because presentations are like that. Presentation is like marketing, you know how marketing, any marketing presentation is always very exciting. It is always, path breaking. So similarly, presentations are always like that. Presentations have to be like that. It has to be path breaking. But does it really break paths? Hard work does it. The presentation may be path breaking in terms of vision. However, the goal will only be achieved through sheer hard work, consistency. Follow the plan. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna advises Arjuna, Raga dvesha muktestu vishayan indriyais charan atma vasher vidheyatma. Vidhi, consistency. Prasadam adhigacchati. Something will give way. That is prasad. You get the result. So atmavashya vidhyatma. You want to control your senses. You want to see that your intelligence grows in a healthy way. So yeah, you've accepted the process of atmavashya. Trying to keep it focused. Vidhyatma. One who does that diligently, consistently, is the Atma, is the person who will get prasad. The result. So always come here to feed the stomach and to feed the intellect. Because as I said, science or studies have, studies on community interrelationships have already proven that such weekly gatherings or gatherings, weekly or fortnightly, they do release happy hormones. You feel very comfortable, and in that comfortable zone, you just relax. So it could be at a club. That is what they do. At clubs, they meet regularly. It could be at satsang programs. It could be in India, housewives, they have that. What is it called as? Kitty parties. Every month. Or it could be because nowadays there are so many high-rise buildings coming up. So it could be that monthly meeting that all the owners have. And what do? Potluck. Children get to play. You catch up on gossip. Plus, there are some dealings. I have an extra furniture at home. I'm thinking what to do. Oh, really? We think maybe we need that. So something happens. Ola deals, Olex, or something like that. Very addictive. In fact, people can go on living that lifestyle for 40, 50 years. And the intelligence is constantly growing. However, is it growing the way you want to grow? Are those the inspirations that you want in life? If it is good, if it is not, beware, be alert. You won't have people showing you red flags. You don't have that kind of facility where somebody is going to red flag you. Srila Prabhupada says in simple words, everyone has got to fly their own plane. Everyone has to do that. If you have a plane, you can fly. If you're borrowing someone else's plane, and the person also comes along as your driver, then good. As a pilot, then good. But if you have your own plane, then you have to fly your own plane. So not only did Lord Krishna give this treasure of transcendental knowledge, he also revealed certain aspects of his private life. When I say private, in the sense that it's on the public forum. However, not everyone has access to it. So how is it on the public forum? The language is different. If you do not know particular language, and there's a lot of data in that language on the net, although it is available in public, you may not have access to it. So Krishna revealed that, his private life, to a certain extent, in the sense that he translated all of those activities in the language that we could understand. We are humans. Here is what I do as, or here are my human-like activities. Here, I play the flute, the deer come. And you're like, yeah, I can relate to that. I can create music and some people can be attracted. I lift up the Govardhan hill when there is huge storm. And you're like, yeah, I can relate to it. I mean, it's an extraordinary feat, but I can relate to it. If I'm there in the rains, then I also pick up something and hold it above myself. So an umbrella. Very relatable. So relatable. But sometimes Krishna also speaks in bird languages. And the birds come and talk to him. And everyone is just watching him. We don't know. Because that which we cannot relate to, we may occasionally only point that out, like, he knows, he's like expert at everything. Our Krishna. Krishna does that. Speaks in bird languages. So what else could he be doing? He could be performing, he could be revealing his, what we call as private life, to other species according to how they understand it. That is Krishna. So to understand, to be able to transcend these limitations that we have created in terms of what our tongue has learned, what our eyes have seen, what our ears understand, is like going beyond the limitations of the body. And if someone is able to do that, we think it's mystical. It's not mystical. Something is mystical as long as you do not know its language. Once you know its language, it's no longer mystical. I'm not sure if you've heard this statement, but there's this statement that is made on and off. When you know that you learn, when you realize that you know Krishna, you actually realize that you do not know him. And that sounds so exciting. Wow. And if someone would ask, can you explain it in simple terms? And in simple terms, our answer could be something like, oh, because there are so many things that Krishna, being this absolute personality, this huge personality, there are so many things that we, being infinitesimal, are not able to relate to. So we have divided into two categories. That which we can relate to, Krishna is much beyond that. There are a lot of saintly people, and there is references also in scriptures where people, where practitioners also understand how Krishna can relate to other species, not through our perspective, but from their perspective, because they have developed that technique. They have gone beyond the realm of sensual understanding, beyond the understanding of the senses. These are certain capacities of the entity that is Chinmoy. An entity whose basic element of existence is Chit. Chit Shakti means knowing that entity can access these realizations. So there's so many exciting things to explore in spiritual life, so many. It's very vast. And hence, when people actually start having realization in spiritual life, they get completely engrossed in it. It's like huge exploration, huge exploration. Some of it is revealed by our great teachers. We call them acharyas of the past. And then traditionally we give the term prakat. This is what has been described. And that which has not been described is aprakat. Isn't that exciting? There's so much of the spiritual realm that has not been described is available for exploration. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like I may have so many things that I've experienced, but right now I choose to only share as much as I feel comfortable or I feel inspired to. So this becomes prakat. But there's so much aprakat. There's so much that I have not spoken about. Just imagine people with serious realizations in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness, how much aprakat they must be having. Therefore, Krishna is all attractive. Hence, Prabhupada will say that if you, or Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada's statement is that if you become attracted to Krishna, then you'll no longer be distracted by the shine of this material world. It's like, suddenly when you crack a code, some of you who are in coding, an entire different realm opens up. Programming, if you design a new program, AI, exciting? It is. Why is it exciting? Because you're exploring. It exists right there. It was unmanifest till you started exploring. So you begin with basics. You even take some advanced training, but it is still basic in terms of that which can open up when you explore. And so many times Krishna says, use your intelligence, use your intelligence, use your intelligence, Arjuna. It's as if Arjun who's so very well, so learned, and Krishna is telling him, Arjun, buddhi yogam. Arjun, buddhayo vyavasai. Arjun, buddhi. And Arjun is like, if Arjun would be, or if I would be in Arjun's position, I'm like, if this gets out, people are going to think really I'm so dumb. So dumb. I have gone to the heavenly planets, got all that could be understood in terms of programming from Lord Shiva, from Indra. We visited Kuber also. And Krishna is always saying, sharpen your intelligence, use your intelligence. Arjuna could have given a disclaimer somewhere later on for all of us. Don't think that I'm dumb. But Krishna is not telling Arjuna, use your intelligence because he's dumb. He knows he's super intelligent. He's telling him, use your intelligence to explore more. There's so much unmanifest. So many things unmanifest right now, Arjuna. You're only looking at the manifest and you're trying to figure out everything throughout what is manifest. And that is creating problems for you. That is why you're feeling so emotional. It takes like 18 chapters, 700 verses for Arjuna finally to figure it out. Nashta mohas smritir labdha. My illusion has been dispelled. And my memory is back. That I'm Chinmoy. I'm not Achyut, I'm Chit Shakti. I'm an explorer. I seek knowledge. I rejoice in knowledge. I cannot be happy with anything static in the realm of knowledge. Dynamism has to be there. So Krishna, he left Vrindavan, left Mathura, settled down in Dwarka. It is like Krishna is thinking that why should only Vishnu have a planet in the middle of the Milk Ocean? I should also have my island home. So he goes to the middle of the ocean to have his island house, his island community, Dwarka. This whole, from the Bhagavatam, if you understand, they started off when the demigods had gone to the ocean of milk. And they were playing to the Lord of Shweta Dweep Island. So he said, yeah, I'll appear in the dynasty of, in the community of the Brajavasis, the cowherds. So he came back to an island, Dwarka. Anybody who had to gain access to that island, other than Shalvo who came through the airways, everyone had to come to the shore and offer some kind of prayers. Can we come in? like the demigods there on the shore of the Milk Ocean, they were offering prayers. Krishna, please, can we have an audience? Shwetadi. You needed to have good clearance, Only those with clearance could enter Dwarka. Very secure place. However, even in that secure place, lamentation due to being away from his friends and family in Vrindavan entered Dwarka. Krishna would lament. Sometimes he would have something like fits. He would like, Gopi, Gopi, and fall down. Nanda Baba, Yashoda Maiya. Sometimes people have fits. Everyone would immediately, they come, they would start rubbing his hands, his feet, they would start, whatever would help him regain consciousness. So one day, everyone in the palace had gone to a satsang program. Krishna was by himself. What kind of satsang program? I have no idea. It's just that it was just Krishna by himself. He just remembered Vrindavan and he swooned. Now, everyone had gone. However, there's one person who would never go because he was Prati Krishna. Prati Krishna means he was almost Krishna in another form. He looked exactly similar to Krishna. He would want to just think like Krishna would think. He would want to just act like Krishna would act. He would want to eat what Krishna had eaten. Uddhav. So although everyone else had gone, Uddhav was still there. Uddhav saw this. He's like, I have to help my friend. I have to help my Lord. Today, Krishna was really in a different kind of stupor. And Uddhav was like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? He couldn't do anything. Then a very, very interesting personality who happens to be in the right place at the right time. He came there, Narada Muni. Like, Narada Muni, please help. Narada Muni is like, what happened? And Narada Muni is completely struck. He's like, I've never seen this before. They thought they should call 911, but everyone had gone to the satsang program, including 911. So Uddhav looked at Narada Muni. He said that, Narada Muni, you are the person who conceived the idea of 911. Because whenever people need help, you are there. And Narada Muni is like, that's true, but you are the personalized version of 911. You're Krishna's 911. Whenever Krishna needs help, you are there. Basically, they were both at a loss. And Narada Muni said, I think he's remembering the residents of Vrindavan. Uddhav said, yes. So the only way to bring him out of this stupor is to sing the glories of the residents of Vrindavan. Uddhav said, gotcha, got you. Correct. Perfect. So Narada Muni said, that's my business. Because everyone sings, especially in ISKCON. They say that Narada Muni bajaya vina radhika ramana. So he said, now is the time I can prove that that is how I always live my life. Narada Muni bajaya vina radhika ramana name. So before you could start, Uddhav said, stop. I just analyzed everything. Narada Muni is like, what did you analyze? He said, I'm Uddhav. I always analyze. Before Krishna calls me the king of Gyan. I've analyzed the situation. As soon as he wakes up, because you're glorifying Vrindavan, he'd want to run to Vrindavan, and we are not prepared. Everyone has gone to satsang. At that time, Shri Balaramji comes in. They're like, okay, he is 911, the originator. He is personalized form of 911. Who's Balaram? So they asked Balaram, who are you? He said, I'm Balaram, his elder brother. That's it. Since our times in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda had told me, thou take care of this naughty brother of yours. Since then, I have been appointed his caretaker. Here I am. What would Mother Yashoda think? I've let Krishna fall down in this state of intense separation. Balaram is like really very, very concerned. I hope Mother Yashoda never hears about this. So whenever we discuss in satsang these events, we make very sure that Mother Yashoda doesn't have access to this. Because otherwise she will get so concerned that she will feel how did I let this happen? My child. So Mother Yashoda, we make it very sure she doesn't hear these conversations of ours. Every time a speaker describes these conversations, we make it very sure that Mother Yashoda doesn't hear it. Consciously, we try to do it. So Mother Yashoda has never heard. Mother Yashoda always feels Balaram is now is taking care of Kanhaiya. So Balaram came in. Balaram said, okay, we have to take Krishna to Vrindavan as soon as he wakes up. So Balaram immediately dials Daruka. Daruk, duty calls. Daruk is immediately right there along with the chariot and the horses. Krishna's chariot is ready. Yes, sir. So now Balaram says, so the chariot is here. But then Uddhav says, Balaramji, if Krishna goes to Vrindavan, the Brajvasis do not know that he is coming. And we have seen the state of the residents of Vrindavan in separation from Krishna. If Krishna sees them in that state, he'll be completely heartbroken. He'll never be able to forgive himself. So I think somebody has to go and tell the Brajavasis, Krishna is coming. So Balaram looks at Uddhav and says, Uddhav, you are the messenger of Krishna, isn't it? You should go. They said, no, I will not go. How can I go? How can I face the residents of Vrindavan again, show my face to them? Krishna had sent me to pacify them. I had gone there convinced that I could do it because my Lord had ordered me. I knew that I was completely empowered by him. But I've never ever experienced Vrindavan. So when I came to Vrindavan, that experience completely stupefied me. I was like, what is this? The entire library that is there of everything starting from the beginning of self-realization to the highest understanding of self-realization does not describe this experience. It's beyond description. But I have to do my job. Somehow I have to convince everyone. It took him 3 months and he couldn't convince anyone. In fact, he started feeling that, why is Krishna not coming here? He should just not stay in Dwarka. He should come and live with the residents of Vrindavan. So he had come here as a messenger of Krishna to pacify them. But then he was so overwhelmed by the entire experience of Vrindavan that now he became self-appointed messenger of the Vrindavan Brajvasis to go and give a message to Krishna. He told Nand Baba, Baba, don't worry. I will tell Krishna, my friend, that he has to come here. Yashoda Maiya, be assured, I will convince Krishna to come here. Just as when he was coming towards Dwarka, Krishna had kind of given him a little warning that, Uddhava, it won't be easy for you. This is like, my dear Lord, you are sending me on this mission. By your mercy, I want to see you free of all concern. I want to see you happy. So by your mercy, I'll get the job done. Here in 3 months' time, he's ready to come back and convince Krishna. You have to come to Vrindavan. Don't stay in Dwarka anymore. So he comes back to Vrindavan, he tells Krishna, and Krishna is like, do you know why I always think of the residents of Vrindavan? Uddhava is like, now I understand, because I'm also always thinking about them only now. Both of us. Now I can begin to understand why you always think of the residents of Vrindavan, because that is what is happening to me too. Krishna could not leave Dwarka. So Uddhava is like, how can I go back? It's been years now. Could not leave. So then Narad Muni is like, okay, he's still there in stupor. We have to do something quick. So Uddhava says, Balaramji, you have to go. He said, me? I had gone to Vrindavan. I stayed there for 2 months. And seeing how much they were missing Krishna, I promised Nanda Baba, I promised Yashoda Maiya, I told them, Baba, Mai, I will bring Krishna back. Please stop crying. Please stop crying. Let me see your smile, please. I will bring him back. He looked at Mother Yashoda. Haven't I always done whatever I promised to you? So I'm telling you that I'll bring Krishna back, just as I would bring him back from the pasturing grounds, just as I would bring him back from Govardhan, just as I'd bring him back from the banks of the river Yamuna. I will do that. You just stop crying. Eat something. They would not. So feeling helpless, he just came back to Dwarka and he said, Krishna, you have to go back. You are Krishna, I am thou. I am your elder brother. You have to go back to Vrindavan. Krishna is like, yes, I will go. Just, let's finish today's business and then tomorrow we can leave. And then tomorrow never came. Balram is like, what can I do? So at that time, somebody who always wanted to visit Vrindavan because never had that opportunity, had always heard of this wonderful family in Vrindavan, but never had the opportunity because she was born out of Vrindavan. Subhadra, she came. She's like, thou, I'm there. What are sisters for? I will go to Vrindavan. I will convince them. I will sit in Mother Yashoda's lap. You boys, you have taken a lot of her blessings. But Mothers, they have special affection for girls, for a daughter. And Mother Yashoda has never had that opportunity. I have never had that opportunity. When I go and sit in her lap, all her love and affection will come forth. And then I'll wipe off her tears. And I will try to make her smile, at least physically. I'll try to do that. And then I'll tell her, they are coming. But you know how famous they are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So when and I'm the youngest. I don't even, they have always told me, stay away from social media. So I don't even have an account. So people don't know me. So they got caught up. They are coming, they're right behind. You have to welcome them. So wipe away your tears, smile, get everything ready. Similarly, I'll go to Nanda Baba, I'll hold his hand, I'll climb onto his shoulders. I'll make him become a horse. He's never had a daughter too. I have his daughter. I'll convince him. Don't worry. Balaramji was, you're right. Yes, Subhadra should do this. Get Subhadra's chariot. So they got Subhadra's chariot. And then Balaramji said, your little sister, how can you go alone? And then Krishna, he'll follow. I need to be there to protect both of you. So first, I should be going. So he says, get my chariot ready too. So Balaramji's chariot comes. Balaramji sits on his chariot. He starts off. Subhadra sits on her chariot. She starts off. Then Uddhav says, Narada Muni, start. Give that transfusion. He needs instant IV. Give him that. So Narada Muni starts glorifying Vrindavan. Krishna wakes up and he says, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yamuna, cows, deers, gopis, Baba, Maya, where's my flute? He's looking around, there's no flute. So he's running here and there. Where's my flute? Where's my flute? And then he bumps into someone. He says, Uddhav, what are you doing in Vrindavan? When did you come to Vrindavan? Anyways, I don't have time. My flute, I need to find my flute. And then he bumps into another person. He says, Narada Muni, you are also in Vrindavan? How did that happen? And then Krishna thinks, both of them in Vrindavan. Am I in Vrindavan or am I somewhere else? So he asks them, is this Vrindavan? And they're like, no. I have to go to Vrindavan. They said, yes, chariot is ready. Daruk, let us go to Vrindavan. Krishna jumps into his chariot. Meanwhile, these two, the brother and sister, have gone ahead. After some time, they hit the outskirts of Vrindavan, and what they see there, their horses, their chariot, the charioteer, and Balaram and Subhadra, all of them are stupefied. They cannot move any further. The rest of them are stupefied, but Balaram and Subhadra, because they are completely spiritual personalities, their horses are too. However, here, because they are the supreme most spiritual personalities, they take on this form. Subhadra's hands and her legs get withdrawn, her eyes become huge. Her complexion becomes golden yellow. And Balaramji, his complexion becomes like a shining moon, big eyes. His hands partly withdrawn. And then Krishna is coming. Taruk, faster, faster. Taruk is like, sorry, yes, sorry. It will be there in a minute. Don't worry. Please, my dear Lord, you relax. After that, whatever happens, we are not going to describe. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
I know that previously I mentioned that the moment you know that you realize Krishna was something that you don't know anything about him. In spite of that, I have this question. Is it really true that intelligence saturates in spiritual life as opposed to in material life? And here is a little more background to it, why I asked the question. Because I feel that in material life, any discipline of science, every day there is a new thing to keep questioning and there's new thing to keep doing research and go on. Whereas in spiritual life, sometimes personally I have phrases when I try to compare healthy comparison of commentaries across different sampradayas of different acharyas, or even amongst incarnations of the Lord, actions of him, if I try to compare, people sometimes they say that we didn't do all these things, he is anyway the supreme, what do you do? Similarly, even in your example today, you were mentioning about somebody who is like singing the same tune for like so many years without even changing the words. Are these coming as a result of the fact that intelligence saturates at some point in spiritual life? Is it like that? Or
so is there a saturation to how much the intelligence can grow? And especially in spiritual life, at the same time, there was this observation made that in material life, we see that there's always scope for the intelligence to grow more.
Daily there is more.
Daily there is more.
In any walks of science.
Correct. So, and in the example that I gave of how somebody was so focused or so, let us say, fixated on just chanting the holy names in a particular way for years and years together. So does it mean that the intelligence saturates? So I think there are 2 or 3 approaches here, or 2 or 3 levels, let us say prongs. The first is, let us take about just because they are repeating the same thing over years, does it mean that the intelligence saturates? Let me ask you, 2 plus 2 is equal to?
4.
Does it mean that intelligence is saturated? Because what is the expression of 2 plus 2? It could be mangoes, it could be cars, it could be planets, it could be atoms. But it is always 2 plus 2. So if that expression we realize is not the existence, is not a realm of saturation, because there's so many ways it can be expressed. Similarly, when someone is chanting the Sita Ram, the expression is in multivarious forms. They know, I don't. They know. So based on the same logic, we can accept that it's not saturation in that instance. It's just a formula. Its expression could be in terms of various situations that you are in life. Every single moment, every single day. Is that okay?
Yeah.
However, if you are not aware of what 2 plus 2 is, then you are going to have confusion in life. Your mind will flicker. Similarly, if we have not found a way to focus the mind on something, and we are flickering in terms of tune, in terms of let's say, pitch, then the mind cannot be stable. A stable mind and an unstable mind, even for a few moments, if there's instability, it opens up options of being distracted. That's a danger therein. All right. So that is the first thing from the question about how those people actually were experiencing newer and newer realizations, although they're just chanting the holy names. Is it all right? Now coming to the second one. In material life, we see that the intelligence grows not just because we read, but because we do what we read. We work on it. There is action required. There are results to be obtained, which gives us newer perspectives for the intelligence to grow. Let's suppose you just read. No action is done. Do you think the intelligence will grow?
No, it will be a theoretical thing.
Similarly, in spiritual life, there has to be actions performed and realizations obtained so that perspectives, more options of perspectives are available. Therefore, it's exploration. It's spiritual life, I think, is somehow or the other, it's the approach to it is a little superficial. It's more about just getting data. And that is considered to be the hard work. The intelligence to grow needs to have results too. And for results to be there, you have to perform action. So the data is collected, you read so many things, and then you try to assimilate it. And if there is no assimilation because we are just experiencing through our senses, then we need to find ways that our senses can grow more, explore more. That is what they do in Dhyana. Because the senses function under the king of the senses, the mind. So there are certain pockets of the mind that we have still not unplugged. The seeker does that. You unplug that, more opportunities arise, senses work in particular ways, then you have realization because results are there. Otherwise, it is always going to be borrowed realizations. Somebody else experiments on that, comes up with new programs in a car, you just read about it, but you don't have realization about it unless until you implement it. So implementation has to be there. Otherwise, it is just borrowed realization. Somebody else's realizations, we read about it and we start speaking on it. But do you know this new discovery is there? But what is our own experience of it? Unless until you work on that knowledge, we won't have experience of it. Hence, the intelligence will never be saturated in spiritual life. That is the very basis of the understanding of Gyan. And when we say Gyan, we are trying to address the Shakti known as Chit Shakti, Chinmay. Chinmay means it always can be unplugged a little more. There's much more to be researched, to be experienced. That is what is Chit Shakti. So Satchidanand, the Chit Shakti, that is what it has, capacity. And that is a Chit Shakti. It's let us say, reflection that we see in the material world. No more, no more. Explore more. So where does it come from? It cannot come from material energy, right? It has to come from spiritual energy. So where is the source of that? Chit Shakti. So what does the Sat do? The eternal Shakti, the Sat Shakti gives us the assurance that we can eternally go on exploring the Chit Shakti. Isn't it wonderful? And what do the Sat and Chit Shakti do? Because of eternal exploration, you'll find newer and newer experiences of Anand. Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore, in Shiksha Ashtakam says, one of our prayers, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purna Amrita Swami. Buddhi Vardhanam. Keeps on growing and growing and growing. Hence, logically, we can understand that if we approach spiritual experiences the way we try to find, or the way we try to grow our material intelligence, if we approach spiritual subject matter also similarly, then we'll have newer and newer realizations. Some of them are what we hear others are having. A lot of it is what we personally have.
Yeah, but I have one more level question coming from this. Like, I'd like to understand what does realization mean here. Like, for example, intelligence says that Lord is supreme, right? It kind of.
Does intelligence say or data say?
I think it's data actually.
Is the difference between data and intelligence?
The moment when the data is making some sense to us, then I think
that is a function of intelligence, isn't it?
Yeah, to make some understanding.
Intelligence is that which allows us to see the potency of data.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you say, if somebody doesn't notice it, what do you say? Or is sleeping? Which means your intelligence wasn't functioning in top gear. Yeah. Oh, coming to that, that was the third thing. I said 2 or 3 prongs. Thank you when you brought up that question about realization, right? What is realization? Have you ever had a very sweet drink? With every sip, you felt, oh, this should last a little longer, the taste. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
You've experienced that? Okay.
Not very often, but very rarely.
So we've experienced that.
Yeah.
I wanted to say cake. I wanted to say, let's say rasagulla, something like that. But for certain reasons, I did not. Because in the solid state, you can always say that one end could be a little different from the other. In the liquid state, it is more homogeneous. Hence, I said a sweet drink. All right. Now, every time you taste that drink, because of its homogeneity, it's going to be the same. But every time you taste it, you feel you want more. There's never saturation. Because of the taste. The taste buds are making you experience that. You don't feel saturated. It's not that as soon as you take one sip, you're like, okay, the next sip is not going to be any different. No, the next sip is as tasty as the first sip. We've experienced that, isn't it?
Because it's a craving.
The craving. It creates a craving, right? It creates this greed, this craving within you, isn't it? We've experienced that, isn't it? Now it's homogeneous. It's not any different. One sip is not different from the other sip. Now, as a cake, you could say maybe, little sugar there, little sugar here. It's not as homogeneous. The drink is homogeneous as far as, in terms of tasty things. If that can happen in spiritual and material life, why do you think drinking the holy names with every sip, there's going to be saturation? Would there be craving? There's a possibility. Isn't it? All right? And every sip that you have is your realization of that sip.
what we call it here as realization is that sweetness and how satisfied I feel after sipping it.
Realization basically sakshatkar. Sakshat akar. Akar. You understand what it is, what it means to you. What is its meaning to you? You understand that clearly. That is called a sakshatkar. You could also call it anubhav, experience. Sakshat, personally, akar, its existence. It makes sense to you. It makes meaning. It has meaning for you. It's not somebody else's understanding of what it is.
If somebody says Lord is supreme, for me, why he is supreme? Like that, like to know those things, they are my personal realizations. That is how we should relate and understand from the material example that we gave, right? Those would be the spiritual.
It's like somebody, if you're coming regularly here, or if you every day do some chanting or you do puja, if people ask you, why do you do it? You said, I find peace. That is sakshatkar. It's your experience. All right. So unlimited experiences like that, moment by moment, the spiritual life. Ever expanding. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhaktivriksha ki jai. Hare Krishna. We do a kirtan.